Okay, so in this last one, it's power to a power. So you have x to the 12th to the 1/3, which would give me what? X to the what? Yep. And then you have y to the 9th to the 1/3, which would give me y to the... So since there are no denominators left, we don't have to worry about a radical. The only way you're going to have a radical is if you have a denominator. So then when we look at 7 to the 2/5, can 5 go into 2? No. So that means no 7s are going to be on the outside. 7 squared will be on the inside. And what is 7 squared? There you go. When you look at this, this is 2 cubed x to the 4th, all raised to the 1/3. So what's going to happen when I do that power to the power and I have 2 cubed to the 1/3? When I have 2 cubed to the 1/3, it'll just be 2 because 3 times 1/3 is 1. Now you're going to have x to the 4/3, correct? How many times does 3 go into 4? That means I get 1 on the outside. What's the remainder? We have 1 left over, and that'll be the root of 3. We okay with that? Okay, then we have our last one. I get x to the 8/4, and I get y to the 10/4. So that means I got x squared. How many times will 4 go into 10? So I got 2 on the outside. How many stay on the inside? So remember, what's in the denominator will always be your root. We okay with those? Bless you. Okay, so let's take a look at what we have today. Okay, so looking at this, we're going to write these graphs. There are certain things we know. We know the A value is what? From the graph. What is the A value in our equation? It's our y-intercept. So it'll be that 0.0y. And then our B value is going to be the constant multiplier, right? In this case, we don't know what it is, so we're going to have to plug the point to find. So when I look at this first one, I got y equals the A value is 3. I don't know B, and I'm going to put a big B for the base. And then it's raised to the x, correct? We do have another point here. Can we take this and turn it into a fraction?
Yeah. Wait. Something 1/4, but...
Well, I want it to be an improper fraction.
So 2 to the 1/4?
It'll be 2 and 1/4. And if we turn that into a fraction, 9/4. Okay, so now I'm going to plug in 1 for x. So I got 3b to the 1, and then it's going to equal 9/4. Okay, now how do we solve that? We can multiply both sides by what? Well, if I multiply by 3, I'm going to end up with 9b. I want to get b by itself. How do I make the 3 go away? Multiply by 1/3. So I got b equals, and then when I do the other side, isn't the 3 going to go into the 9 3 times? Leaving me with 3/4. So we end up with y equals 3 times 3/4 to the x. Now let's see if that makes sense. My b value falls between 0 and 1. Would that be decay or growth? My b value falls between 0 and 1. Would that represent decay or growth?
Growth. Decay, sorry. Wait.
If I have a pizza and I take away 3/4 of it. So it's decay. Anything between 0 and 1, you're going to be taking away fractions of it. You're only going to be keeping fractions of it. Anything greater than 1 is growth. So if this is decay, does that match the graph? Yeah, because the y values are decreasing. We okay with that? So decay is 0 to 1. Growth is greater than 1. I should have put a B here. Put a B instead of an X. Your B will fall between 0 and 1, whereas growth will be greater than B. Notice there are no negative values. They will all be positive. Okay, so then if we go on to our next one, can you tell me what the A value is? 2, right here. And then we got to find our B value. We're going to find our B value by using this point. Can we take that 4.5 and turn it into a fraction?
Yeah.
9/2. All we do is take 2 times 4 is 8 plus 1. Okay, so now we have 9/2 equals 2 times B to the 2. I did, right there. Okay, so first thing we want to get rid of is that big 2 that's multiplying. So how do we get that to go away? Times by 1/2, and we get 9. No. 9/4, thank you. Now we're left with B squared. You could take the square root. The other idea is I can get them to doing this, right? So then I can raise both sides to the 1/2. So B equals just 3/2. So we got y equals 2 to the 3/2 x. 3/2, is that growth or decay?
Growth.
Growth, because it's 1.5, right? It's bigger than 1. Does that match our graph? Is our graph growth? We okay with that? Now keep in mind, you could have just square rooted this as well. How come I didn't do a plus or minus to that square root? There's not going to be any negative values. They're going to be, our B values are going to be positive. Okay? We okay with that one? Okay, so looking at this, we have a table. Can you tell me the A value based on this table? 12, very good. Now I want you to look, are these all going by 1? Yeah. They're all adding 1, right? If they're all adding 1, then you can take these and just figure it out. And you can do that by taking 27 over 18, which will equal 18 over 12, which will equal 12 over 8. So notice all I did was take this one and divide it by that one. That's the way you can get your B value when you have a table and they're going by ones. So 27 over 18, what does that reduce to? 3 goes into both of them. 9 goes into both of them.
3 over 2.
Okay, what about 18 12s?
3, no, wait.
6 goes into both of them.
Yeah. 3 over 2.
Good. What about the last one? 4 goes in. So you see how we're multiplying each time. We multiplied 8 by 3 over 2. We multiplied 12 by 3 over 2. So that is our B value. You could have also taken any point and plugged it in with the exception of the y-intercept. And done it that way too. So in this case, our A value is going to be the 0y point. And we're going to use bird beaks. Those are bird beaks, right? Y'all didn't hear that back in algebra? Bird beaks to find constant multiplier. Or another way you could say it is we're going to take the bigger one, divide it by the one above it, right? Okay, so here's another one. I'm going to see if you can figure out what the B value is. Don't say it out loud. Give everybody a chance to figure it out. What is our A value?
1/2.
Good. So can you figure out what they're multiplying by to get from here to here, from here to here, and from here to here? Bless you. So if we take 8 and divide it by 2, we get 4. What's an eighth of 4? In other words, 4 over 8. What's half of 4? And what's 2 times 4?
8.
So you see how that's our constant multiplier? Once again, you notice these are all going by ones. That's why it worked. If they're not going by ones, you might have to be a little more careful about it. We okay with that? Now, of course, the other thing you can always consider is you have a calculator, so you could also do lists and spreadsheets. Of course, this is so fast right here that we don't have to. Okay, now they give us 2 points. This is no different than us where we started with our graph, right? One of our points is our A value. So we got y equals 100. Then we don't know B. So now we have, this is 21.6 equals, and that looks just dreadful, but it'll be fine. What happens when you take 100? We're going to divide by 100. So what happens when you divide by 100? Does that become this right here? Yes? Yeah. So then 0.216, did you know that's 0.6 cubed?
No. Oh, wait, yeah.
6 times 6 times 6 is 216. It's just the decimal that kind of throws us off. So what's B then? Since both sides are being cubed, we can just straight up 0.6, 6/10. So we have y equals 100.6 to the x. You could put 6/10 and then reduce it too. That'd be totally fine. So what about the next one? Y equals 10 b to the x. Now we plug in some 154.07 equals 10 b to the 15. What happens when we divide by 10? 15.407. B to the 15. Isn't that going to be B equals 15.407 to the 1/15th? I have no idea what that is, and I don't care. Without a calculator, I can just say y equals 10 times 15.407. And remember, this is being raised to the x and the 1/15th, so I can just put x over 15. That means every 15, whatever, years, days, whatever, we're going to multiply by 15.407. Of course, you could have gotten the number, but you're not going to have anything that ugly, so don't worry about it. But it's good for you to see it. So here we did the same thing. A was, we were given A, it was 0y. And then B, we plugged again to solve. So far they didn't give us anything. We had to solve for all of them. Okay, so now we got words. Michael started with 8 M&Ms in his cup. After 7 shakes, he had 112 M&Ms. Okay. So they gave you 2 points. What did he start with?
8.
So that's our A value. And then after how many shakes? 7. He ended up with 112 M&Ms. Bless you.
7.
Oh, 8. You start with 8. Sorry, my bad. So then we plug in 112 equals 8b to the 7. So what do we do first to solve this? Divide by 8, and what do we get?
14.
Okay, so now how do I get this b by itself? Can't divide by 7. It's not being multiplied. I can raise it to the, so we can raise it to the 1/7, which means we're going to raise this side to the 1/7. Once again, I have no idea what that's going to be, and I don't really care about getting the fraction. So I'm going to go back up here, and I'm going to plug in y equals 8. B is 14 to the 1/7 raised to the x, which means we can simplify it to 14 to the x over 7. So every 7 shakes, they're going to multiply by 14. So a lot of times they're going to give you that A value. So let's see how we can do it here. I gave you the honors notes, but I gave you the on levels.